The Buttoncap Soldier of Carrickfergus Castle. The haunted guardian of Antrim, Ireland. On the northern coast of Ireland, where the cold waters of Belfast Lough crash endlessly against ancient stone walls, stands Carrickfergus Castle, one of the best preserved medieval fortresses in Europe. Built in 1177 by the Norman knight John de Courcy, the castle has witnessed more than 8 centuries of warfare, political intrigue, betrayal, imprisonment, and bloodshed. Its thick stone walls have survived countless sieges by Scottish, English, Irish, and French forces, earning it a reputation as one of the strongest military fortresses in Ireland. Yet while historians admire its remarkable architecture and military history, locals speak of something far more unsettling. They whisper of a silent soldier who still patrols the battlements long after his death, a mysterious ghost known only as the Buttoncap Soldier. Unlike many haunted locations where terrifying screams or violent apparitions dominate local legends, Carrickfergus Castle possesses a quieter, more mysterious atmosphere. Visitors often describe an overwhelming feeling of being watched as they walk through the castle's narrow corridors or climb its ancient staircases. Some hear unexplained footsteps echoing behind them, while others report sudden cold drafts despite calm weather. Many paranormal researchers believe the castle absorbed centuries of fear, pain, and violence, leaving behind an energy that refuses to fade. Among all the supernatural tales connected to the fortress, none has endured as long or been repeated as consistently as the legend of the Buttoncap Soldier. The identity of the Buttoncap Soldier has been lost to history. No official military record reveals his real name, his birthplace, or even the exact year he lived. According to local folklore, he served as one of the castle guards during the 17th century when Carrickfergus was frequently threatened by invasion and rebellion. Fellow soldiers recognized him by the distinctive woolen military cap he wore, decorated with rows of polished brass buttons that caught the sunlight during the day and reflected torchlight at night. Because of this unusual cap, everyone simply called him Buttoncap. He was respected for his discipline, bravery, and unwavering loyalty to the fortress he had sworn to defend. The castle's guards lived difficult lives. Every day they trained with muskets, swords, and pikes while remaining constantly alert for enemy ships approaching Belfast Lough. They endured freezing winters, relentless rain, and violent Atlantic storms that battered the castle walls. Night patrols were especially dangerous, as darkness concealed both enemies and smugglers attempting to approach the fortress unnoticed. The Buttoncap Soldier reportedly volunteered for the most dangerous watch duties, believing that no threat should ever reach the castle while he remained on guard. His fellow soldiers admired his courage, although some believed his devotion bordered on obsession. According to the legend, one stormy night the castle came under sudden attack. The exact details differ from one version of the story to another, but every account agrees that enemy cannon fire shook the ancient walls as soldiers rushed to defend the fortress. Smoke filled the air, flames illuminated the battlements, and terrified horses screamed within the courtyard. Amid the chaos, the Buttoncap Soldier climbed the highest section of the castle walls to continue defending the fortress. Despite repeated warnings to retreat, he refused to abandon his position, firing his musket toward the attacking forces until the very last moment. Then disaster struck. A powerful cannonball smashed into the battlements near where the soldier stood. The explosion sent enormous blocks of stone crashing down, covering the young guard beneath tons of rubble. Some witnesses believed he died instantly, while others claimed he simply vanished during the confusion of battle. When the fighting finally ended and survivors searched through the shattered walls, they found broken weapons, scattered uniforms, and fragments of armor, but no body. Legend says the only unmistakable trace of the fallen guard was his button-covered military cap lying among the ruins. For years after the battle, nothing unusual was reported. Soldiers continued serving at Carrickfergus Castle, commanders changed, and new generations occupied the fortress. Then strange events slowly began to emerge. Guards assigned to the night watch reported hearing the steady sound of military boots walking across the stone battlements after midnight. Assuming another sentry was nearby, they called out into the darkness, only to receive no reply. When they searched the walls, they found them completely empty. Yet the footsteps continued, moving steadily through the darkness before suddenly disappearing without explanation. The first reported sighting of the mysterious soldier spread quickly among the castle garrison. One guard claimed to have seen a lone figure standing motionless near the outer wall, gazing silently across Belfast Lough. The figure wore an old military uniform unlike any currently issued by the army, and on his head rested a cap covered with shining brass buttons. Believing the man to be a lost or injured soldier, the guard approached cautiously. Before he could speak, the mysterious figure slowly faded into the sea mist, leaving only the cold night air behind. The witness reportedly refused to patrol alone again. As decades passed, more soldiers reported nearly identical encounters. Some described seeing the ghost standing perfectly still atop the battlements during moonlit nights, while others glimpsed him disappearing into walls or vanishing around corners where no exit existed. Remarkably, despite the years separating these eyewitness accounts, the descriptions remained strikingly similar. Everyone spoke of the same uniform, the same silent posture, and the same unusual button-covered cap. The consistency of these stories strengthened local belief that the mysterious apparition was indeed the restless spirit of the fallen guard. One of the most famous legends involves a young recruit who openly mocked the ghost stories told by veteran soldiers. Confident that the button-cap soldier was nothing more than superstition, he declared that he would spend the night alone on the highest battlements to prove there was nothing to fear. His fellow guards warned him not to challenge whatever haunted the ancient fortress, but he laughed and climbed the stone staircase shortly before midnight. Hours later, he returned visibly shaken. His face had turned pale, his hands trembled uncontrollably, and he refused to speak about what he had experienced. Only many years later, after retiring from military service, did the former recruit finally reveal what had happened that night. He claimed that while standing alone on the battlements, he noticed another guard watching the sea. Assuming it was one of his comrades, he approached and greeted the figure. The soldier slowly turned toward him, revealing a pale, expressionless face illuminated by moonlight. The uniform looked centuries old, weathered and torn, while dozens of polished brass buttons decorated the wool cap resting upon his head. Without speaking a single word, the ghost raised one hand in a silent military salute before dissolving into the cold mist blowing in from Belfast Lough. Castle staff have also reported unexplained occurrences over the years. Caretakers working after sunset have described hearing the metallic clink of weapons echoing through empty corridors. Security personnel occasionally report seeing shadows moving across walls where no living person could have stood. Some visitors claim to smell gunpowder despite there being no historical demonstrations taking place, while others experience sudden drops in temperature in specific areas of the fortress. Paranormal investigators suggest these phenomena may represent residual energy left behind by centuries of conflict, though no scientific explanation has ever fully accounted for the experiences reported by so many different witnesses. Historians acknowledge that Carrickfergus Castle has witnessed countless violent events throughout its long history. Thousands of soldiers served within its walls, many dying anonymously during battles, sieges, or disease outbreaks. It is therefore impossible to determine whether the button-cap soldier represents one specific individual or has become a symbolic figure embodying every forgotten guard who sacrificed his life defending the fortress. The lack of historical certainty has only deepened the mystery, allowing the legend to grow stronger with each passing generation. Today, Carrickfergus Castle remains one of Northern Ireland's most popular historical attractions. During daylight hours, tourists explore its towers, prison cells, and defensive walls while enjoying spectacular views across Belfast Lough. Guides enthusiastically explain the castle's remarkable military history, but as evening approaches and visitors leave, the atmosphere changes dramatically. The cheerful sounds of tourism disappear, replaced by the whistle of the wind passing through ancient arrow slits and the distant crash of waves against the stone foundations. It is during these quiet hours that many believe the button-cap soldier resumes his eternal watch. Whether the button-cap soldier is a genuine paranormal entity, a legend born from centuries of military tradition, or simply the product of imagination influenced by the castle's haunting atmosphere remains impossible to prove. Nevertheless, the story continues to fascinate visitors from around the world because it reflects something deeply human, unwavering loyalty that endures beyond death. If the old tales are true, one faithful guard never abandoned the duty he swore to uphold. Even after centuries have passed, he still patrols the walls of Carrickfergus Castle, silently protecting the fortress that became both his home and his final resting place. And should you ever find yourself walking those ancient battlements after sunset, listen carefully to the sound of footsteps behind you, for the Buttoncap soldier may still be keeping watch.